On this tax issue, which we'll get to now, you mentioned it, I just think the sort of media narrative, as well as the Clinton campaign, is getting this one wrong. Nearly 3/4 of Americans want to see Donald Trump's tax returns. This according to the CNN ORC poll. Trump gave his first public response to the report from the New York Times that he may have avoided paying federal income taxes for almost 2 decades after declaring a nearly $1 billion loss in 1995. While he still hasn't confirmed nor denied the claim, Trump did defend using what he calls a, quote, unfair tax system.
I understand the tax laws better than almost anyone, which is why I am one who can truly fix them. I understand it. I get it. And that is what I commit to do. We want fairness. We want money brought in. And we want money to be spent when it goes out, because they spend our tax dollars so unfairly and unwisely. Remember that. As a businessman and real estate developer, I have legally used the tax laws to my benefit and to the benefit of my company, my investors, and my employees. I mean, honestly, I have brilliantly used those laws. I have often said on the campaign trail that I have a fiduciary responsibility to pay no more tax than is legally required, like anybody else. Or, put another way, to pay as little tax as legally possible. If you remember the early 90s, other than, I would say, 1928, there was nothing even close. The conditions facing real estate developers in that early 90 period were almost as bad as the Great Depression of 1929 and far worse than the Great Recession of 2008, not even close. Many business people, including many of my competitors and some of my friends, were not able to survive. Companies, jobs, and opportunities were lost and lives were destroyed as tens of thousands of people were put out of work. These tough times were when I performed my very best. The economy and banks, they were collapsing. The government was a mess. But I enjoyed waking up every day to go to battle. I had an expression in the early 90s, survive till 95 and you'll be okay. And then people copied it, survive till 95. And that's what we did. I won, and I kept on winning. Till this day, I kept on winning.
Mike Barnicle, what do you make of his argument that I followed the law, I paid as few taxes as I should have paid, and I was brilliant for doing it that way?
It's not going to work. This is a slow boiling stew. I mean, we can talk about all the polls in different states. Donald Trump is locked in at between 42 and 45% of the vote. They're going nowhere. Change is the biggest winner this year. So right. It's people trying to figure out, what am I going to do here? I want change, but I'm looking at Donald Trump, who is, over the past 3 or 4 days, as you pointed out, having a slow motion, nervous breakdown in public.
Well, he's ahead in Ohio by 5 points, the state that Romney lost. He's ahead in Iowa. He's competitive in Pennsylvania. And again, this is after this week's polls. He's tied in North Carolina, a state that Barack Obama won in 2008.
You show me his electoral college map to victory.
Well, the problem is, Mike just put his finger on it. He's rarely in any important state above 45%. He's going to have to get to 47.
I don't see, do we see Hillary at 50 anywhere?
No, but we see her in some places at 47. And as Gary Johnson goes down, she tends to benefit. He's going to have to hope that the electorate, that what polls are showing is 45, turns out to be on election day, or as people who vote, 47.
Gene Robinson, Bill Clinton got elected with 43% of the vote.
Well, yeah, and but look, step back for a minute. You know, a few weeks ago, this race did look essentially tied. It was, you called it a coin flip, right. And it looked like a coin flip. It looks a lot less like a coin flip now because Hillary Clinton is clearly ahead. She's ahead in the national polls.
Because of a horrific week by Donald Trump, and people
right.
just like after the cons. And this is my point. Trump has a horrible week. People move away, and they always seem to find their way back to Trump.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if they find their way back to Trump this day. You know, I think the two important things from this awful week for Trump. Number one, I think the debate performance actually was important, and I don't discount that as a reason for the slide. I think there was a very clear contrast in that debate. I think people saw him devolve into incoherence toward the end of that debate, and I frankly don't have a lot of reason to think the second debate is going to be much different. Now, maybe, obviously, I could be proved wrong, but it doesn't seem to be a good setting for him. There's no teleprompter. It's easy to get under his skin. It's a town hall. He hadn't proved to be very good at that. I'd be surprised if there were a radically better debate performance, and I think it could be more of the same. And the second thing I think...
But does it matter, though?
Well,
I mean, does it? I mean, we're talking about a guy, again, follow what he's done over the past 5, 6, 7 days. He shouldn't be ahead of in Ohio. He shouldn't be within 4 points in Pennsylvania. He shouldn't be up comfortably in Iowa. He shouldn't be doing as well as he is doing. But he is, Gene, because there's something that makes voters move to this guy.
I think it's what we just ran, the soundbite we just ran.
It's not him, it's her.
Well, he has not collapsed. His support has not collapsed, but his support is not growing in the way or to the point that it needs to grow for him to win the election. But as Mark said, he has to hope, he probably will go into Election Day having to hope that that 45 is really 47. Right. That there's Trump voters out there that's for some reason in cloak of invisibility or something are not registering.
Yeah, John Meacham, Mike Barnacle just said something that I'm hearing more and more. That we're all focusing on Donald Trump. This is not about Donald Trump. It's about Hillary Clinton, a woman incapable of finishing the cell. And I did not see her yesterday, but I heard from several Democratic influencers yesterday who saw her, and here we are in October, saying that her performance looked like a high school debater's performance, that she was horrific. Again, I haven't even seen the clip. So please don't throw your slings and arrows at me. I have heard she just is not getting better. She's getting worse. So is this more about Hillary Clinton and what people don't want to vote for than Donald Trump?
Yeah, I agree with Mike. I think this is a referendum on her, because if it were a referendum on him, we wouldn't be talking about it.
Right.
Right? And so, and the analogies we've played with have been Reagan-Carter, and is Trump Reagan, and are we waiting for a debate to see whether he's actually stable, which will be a long wait, I think. I think in a weird way, this is entirely about her and whether people ultimately are going to be comfortable with having her in their living rooms and in their lives for 4 to 8 years. And if it were about him, I don't think we'd be, I think it would have been over a long time ago.
Yeah, last night while campaigning in battleground Ohio, Hillary Clinton seized on the New York Times story, accusing her rival of being the, quote, poster boy for the same rigged system that he's railing against.
He apparently lost $1 billion on bad investments and failing casinos. Ask yourself this, who loses money on casinos? Really? Yesterday, some of his supporters said, well, it just shows he's a genius. That he didn't pay any taxes. Well, what kind of genius loses $1 billion in the first place?
So I've just noticed a confidence here that I don't think should be there among the campaign. I'm sorry. But, I mean, you think about this tax thing. Unless were laws broken? Did the New York Times find that any laws were broken?
No.
Were any laws broken?
No.
Okay, so he talks about brilliantly using the system. Great. The Hillary Clinton could have had that same reaction to her speech money. That she says she's going to change Wall Street. But you know what? I use the system to make millions of dollars. But instead, she hides it. Donald Trump just doesn't hide it. He's very comfortable with the fact that he followed the law and made a lot of money. She also followed the law and made a lot of money. And for some reason, it's okay to look at that speech money and somehow we just let it go because her campaign keeps it kind of under. It's the same thing, and that's what people see. People see somebody being honest about it, and someone kind of like not mentioning it, but still doing it. What's the difference? Does anyone want to explain to me? Because I think voters like what they saw from Donald Trump, and I'm very worried about that.
I'll give you a good example. When we tried to overthrow Newt, Tom DeLay was involved, Dick Armey was involved. They were the number 2 and number 3 person. Dick Armey tried to deny it. Tom DeLay got in front of us and teared up, and he apologized, and he said a terrible mistake. It was really effectively the end of Dick Armey's political career. Tom DeLay actually gained more power because people who had hated him his entire time in Washington went up and said, thanks for telling us the truth. And here we have Donald Trump, who I have no idea how he survived the Republican primary, admitting that he gave money to Hillary Clinton. But what he said, Willie, was, hey, I'm in business. Okay, I
followed stupid Washington's laws.
Yeah,
I'll go change
I have
Washington.
To influence people, so I live in a Democratic city, so I'm going to give money to Democrats. And I guess in 2016, people are like,
this is going to work
well, at least
people aren't
telling
careful.
the truth. This tax thing, I'm sorry, this tax thing, please find me one person that pays more taxes than they have to pay. You can't do it.
Don't
so
be hypocritical.
everybody that's acting so shocked that he did what he was legally entitled to do is a freaking hypocrite.
And the media?
That's why Warren Buffett goes around and says, oh, the rich people need to pay. Well, pay more money, Warren Buffett.
But
somewhere.
I think they should.
But that's not the lead out there in the United States of America.
What's the lead?
Oh, no, it's the feeling, Mike.
No, the lead is that this guy, it's easier to lose $1 billion and survive than it is to own a $275,000 split cape and lose the house.
I don't think they're thinking that. I got to tell you. I hope you're right.
Listen.
I hope you're right,
Mike,
but I think you're wrong.
Well, what we said yesterday on the show was that don't be mad at Barack Obama for only paying 19%.
Because they live in that house because of the last 2 decades.
Don't be mad at Mitt Romney for paying 14% in taxes. Don't be mad at Donald Trump for not paying taxes legally for 15 years. Be angry at a system that is broken and corrupt. And I do believe, as Warren Buffett said, if you're a billionaire, you should have a minimum tax every year of 25 or 30% at the very least, while your secretary is paying 28%. But I don't know. I don't think Donald Trump playing by the rules. I don't think that's going to resonate with people in middle America.
But the rules are, to use Donald's favorite phrase, the rules are rigged.
I know they are.
It's easier.
I agree.
If the bank will go out of its way to save someone who owes $1 billion,
Mike, we agree with
than
you.
they will to someone who owes $250,000 on a mortgage.
Not to be short, but what's your point? I agree with you.
People look at this and say, this is just another spoiled rich guy, a clown, who didn't know how to run his company.
I think what people look at there is like, that guy knows how to game the system. And if there were somebody other than Hillary Clinton who is more in the pocket of Wall Street, who is more in the pocket
and won't acknowledge it.
Hillary Clinton, who's more in the
let
me just finish one sentence and then I'll be quiet for the next 3 hours. Hillary Clinton is more in the pocket of Wall Street than anybody else that has run for president for years. Okay? So please, anybody that's like looking at Donald Trump and going, oh, he's so horrible and he's so corrupt. Oh, we need to elect Hillary Clinton because she's going to fix the system. No, it's not going to happen. So where do they go?
I'm worried.
She made that speech in Akron, Ohio last night. That Quinnipiac poll that you showed, if you look inside the numbers, has Donald Trump's lead among independents jumping from 5 to 19 points in the last month, up against the backdrop of all those things we've just talked about, the Miss Universe, it goes on and on and on. People are they're not paying attention to these nitty-gritty stories. He is a feeling to them. He is raging against this government machine, and people who like Donald Trump like the way he responded to that tax.
Yes.
Look at. I realize it's hard to do, but has anybody taken a look at Donald Trump's big tax plan that he announced about 2 weeks ago here in New York City?
I totally agree with you, Mike.
Did he address any of the things that he took advantage of?
Mike, I totally agree with you. I'm just telling you, I'm watching these two candidates.
I know.
And there's one that keeps kind of doing this thing that penetrates the ether. The people are hearing, they feel, the truth from Donald Trump.
And that is on Secretary Clinton, that she hasn't told us really where she wants to go, where she wants to take us.
And I think the reaction to this New York Times story on Donald Trump's part was brilliant. And the thing is, he didn't even think twice about it. He just went there. While she has been hiding this speech money, hiding this foundation stuff, hiding this email stuff, and trying to get around it, mistakes were made. And I'm telling you, people they are not feeling a complete connection with her. And this doesn't help to get all high and mighty. Get off your high horse about this tax thing. Unless laws were broken, it's not an issue. You guys cancel each other out.
Especially when 55%, Gene, 55% of Americans told ABC News in a poll that they thought Hillary Clinton should have been indicted for breaking laws.
I couldn't believe watching TV yesterday. Go ahead, Gene.
I think you guys are overthinking this. I went to the barbershop yesterday. What were people talking about? They're talking about Trump not paying taxes. That's the one thing from the week that stuck at the barbershop was rich guy not paying taxes. I got to pay taxes. What is this?
I hope you're right.
You know, and I just, I'm sorry, but I think there's some overthinking here. I don't think it was a brilliant response to say yes, I brilliantly maneuvered, because yeah, everybody wants to follow the law, but step back for a minute. Guy, I'm worth $10 billion. I'm the richest, most brilliant businessman you ever saw in the world, and oh yeah, I'm paying taxes. That is a problem.
John Meacham, let's talk about what Willie said. In Ohio, was it? Mm-hmm. Ohio, Donald Trump up 19 percentage points over the month in Ohio. Explain.
Among independents.
Among independents.
There was a great Dana Carvey skit in 1992 after Pat Buchanan got 40% of the vote in New Hampshire. And Carvey's doing the, doing 41, saying, I got your message, you're pissed. And that's the message, right? I mean, everybody is angry. And I think the details, to some extent, do matter. If Trump were so brilliant at taxes, why did the New York Times have to bring out his brilliance? He's not known for hiding his light under a bushel. But I don't know that, as Willie said a minute ago, I mean, how many undecided voters can there be at this point? Are we talking about 10 people in Pennsylvania? So it's going to be, I think, an emotional election, not a rational one. If it were a rational one, Secretary Clinton would be way up, it seems to me.
Still ahead on Morning Joe, a look ahead to tonight's vice presidential debate. Plus, the contortionist act continues down ballot. Kelly Ayotte of New Hampshire in a tight re-election battle and got tripped up trying to answer this question. Is Trump a role model? And the Washington Post Bob Woodward and Chris Cillizza join us, along with Politico's Jim Vandehei. But
hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.